Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Stinky Britches in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled AITA for being upset with my wife over her gifts for me. My wife is terrible at gift giving. We've been together for over 3 years, and after the first year of no birthday, anniversary, Christmas, Valentine's, or Mother's Day gifts, she even told me I'm not your mother on Mother's Day. I decided to start matching her energy. Father's Day came and I was gone all day. Normally, I would have made a big lunch or dinner and driven 30 to 45 minutes to pick up her son, Jay. She called me in the afternoon, and when I asked when I was picking him up, she said she had plans and didn't know it was her responsibility. When I said, "It's Father's Day," she replied, "You're not my father." Predictably, I got upset and I knew no productive conversation would happen. So I left a letter explaining how hurt I was by the lack of effort from her. Later, she did drive to pick up Jay, but I could tell there was tension. Background info: she has the car since I drive trucks for a living. Over time, she started matching the energy back and began to get me gifts, but it always felt transactional. Pick something out and I'll pay for it. This went the same for her son too, and I ended up doing most of the shopping for her family's birthdays and holidays. Fast forward to a week before Christmas, I woke up to my favorite coffee drink and my wife taking me out to breakfast, followed by a trip to the mall to pick out my Christmas gift. I never splurge on myself. I have a 12-year-old son from a previous relationship, and most of my spending goes toward him. But my stepson, on the other hand, is materialistic and often asks for expensive things. I was already saving up for a new purse because mine was falling apart, and I had my eye on a designer one for months. We got to the store, and when I saw my dream purse, I was ecstatic. My wife hesitated at the price, but I told her I had been saving and that I was happy to contribute to it. She said she would buy it for me, but reminded me that since it was a big ticket item, I couldn't expect any other gifts. I was beyond happy and told her that was enough. Later, she said she had to get something for her son and asked if I minded if they went Christmas shopping together. I had lots to do at home, so I agreed. I left my new purse with her, thinking she would surprise me with something in it on Christmas morning. The days before Christmas were a blur. I hosted Christmas Eve at my house and slept in on Christmas morning, exhausted. We headed out to pick up her son, and on the drive to her mother's house, I woke up and saw him holding my purse in the back seat. My heart dropped. "Where did you get that purse?" I asked, and the car went silent. My wife stayed quiet, staring ahead. I asked him again, this time more firmly. He mumbled, "Mom gave it to me." I was stunned. "What? Why would you think it was okay to give him my purse?" I shouted. My wife told me to calm down, but I wasn't having it. I told him to give it back, but he refused. I was filled with a mix of anger and heartbreak, so I covered my face with my coat and cried quietly. My wife pulled over at a gas station and her son rushed out of the car with the purse in hand. She tried to comfort me, but I slapped her hand away. I told her I was hurt and I couldn't believe she had done this. She explained that her son had been asking for a designer gift for weeks and had been disappointed not to get one. She said she gave him the purse to make up for it, knowing how much I had spent on him already. She told me she would make it up to me, but I wasn't convinced. My purse was the only gift I had asked for, and now it was gone. I couldn't hold it together. I excused myself from the car, got in the driver's seat, and drove off, leaving my wife and stepson behind. I turned off my phone and spent the day with my family. I didn't answer any of her calls. When I finally did pick up, it was a call from her ex-husband's side, who had left me a nasty voicemail accusing me of being jealous. I told her I wasn't jealous, just hurt that my wife had so little respect for me. My wife apologized, but it felt hollow. The damage was done. Later that night, I found out that my brother-in-law went to pick them up and the story got out. Her family sided with me and everyone else was furious with her for letting her son take my gift. But things haven't been the same since. I've been distant, and while we talk, it's mostly about logistics and nothing personal. When we're in bed together, she reaches for me, but I just can't connect. The disappointment is too much. I miss her when she's on the road, but the feeling of being betrayed lingers. I'm not sure what to do, and I want to know if I'm in the wrong here. This next post was made a couple of weeks ago in the marriage subreddit by a user named Happy Little Evies. The post is titled, "My husband is getting drinks with a coworker and I'm terrified. My husband and I have been together for 9 years, married for 5. He was showing me a video on his phone the other day when a text came through from a female name I didn't recognize. I asked who it was and he said she's a colleague from a company that his company works closely with. He has text previews turned off, so I couldn't actually see what was said, but my suspicions were raised. I know it's wrong, but when he was in the shower that evening, I looked through his phone to see who this girl is and why she's texting him. I found out that they've been getting coffee and lunch during the workday, sometimes to talk about work, sometimes not. Prior to last week, it was maybe once a month communications to plan these, but then she joined a board that he's on last week. They had a board meeting and then seemed to go out as a group for drinks after until about 11. I did know that he was out with his colleagues during this time and wasn't concerned. What is concerning is that he texted her that night, making sure she got home safe and telling her how much fun he had, but that he'd been hoping to have more opportunities to talk with her instead of everyone else. The next morning, he texted her good morning and asked her to drinks one-on-one next week. She agreed and he said he couldn't wait. Of course, I looked her up and she's a very beautiful woman, probably in her mid-20s. I asked again later who she was and what their connection was. He reiterated that she's a colleague and is helping get him connected with exciting opportunities in her organization. I know he's been really focused on networking and she has a lot of high-up community connections that it looks like she's introduced him to. He's also a friendly guy who likes to be involved through board work and professional groups. I don't want to go scorched earth and accuse him of anything inappropriate since my insecurity has been a major issue we've had to work through in the past, but I'm terrified he's going to cheat on me. Would this send off alarm bells for you? How would you respond without accusing him and ruining the marriage?" User Sureplum said, "As a woman who works in corporate America, the text he sent after the work happy hour was completely inappropriate, especially paired with a good morning text and an invitation for drinks the following week. He is 100% pursuing an emotional affair with this woman, and if it progresses, I'm pretty confident it will become physical too, assuming she is also interested. I'm really sorry, but I do think you have a right to be upset, suspicious, and all of the things. You are justified. Please don't let him gaslight you into thinking you are insecure or crazy for finding this inappropriate. Optics are important when you are married. If a male colleague wanted to have a networking meeting with me, I would suggest coffee during the day or a lunch meeting and keep the messages very professional. You don't do drinks alone with someone of the opposite sex for networking, and you don't send them cute text messages." User Future Pineapple said, "I owned my company for 30 years before selling it. I was on a number of boards and was constantly networking, as were 25 other salesmen and managers who worked for me. I had a rule that I would conduct business between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. No late night dinners or drinks at the bar while conducting company business after the 6 p.m. time frame. I expected the same from those who worked for me. The weekends were theirs to enjoy, and I did not want to hear back that they were golfing with, whining, or dining other people under the disguise that it was for business. I made sure that spouses knew this rule as well. I didn't want my company to be used as a tool or excuse for people to ruin their marriages. I received nothing but positive feedback on this, especially from spouses. As more parents used to tell me, nothing good happens after midnight if you are out and about." User Hannah Haven said, "Alarm bells are most definitely going off while reading this. If my husband communicated with another woman like this, it would be crossing a major boundary, and I would honestly already consider this emotional cheating. However, those boundaries are unique to each relationship, so ultimately it depends on the couple. It does sound like emotions are definitely getting involved between them, and I would be concerned he is on the path to physical cheating." Update. Well, you were all correct. I continued to monitor his texts without saying anything, and he continued to be flirty, texting her good morning, telling her how he couldn't wait to see her, and how happy he was to hear from her throughout the day. They did go out for dinner and drinks the other night. It sounds like it must have gone well since they're now having flat-out conversations to set the framework for their affair. They've discussed that they want to keep things private and out of work, that she doesn't like that he's married, that they both have mutual feelings, and that they are going to continue and are on the same page about everything. She initially didn't want to start this, but has developed feelings she can't ignore, while my husband told her that he's always had these feelings and couldn't resist her. I'm not sure if anything physical happened, but I'm assuming it did. I thought I'd be heartbroken, but now I'm just furious. I'm getting my affairs in order to confront him and end the marriage. Thanks for all the feedback and advice." This third post was made in the AITA subreddit by a user named Not Willing to Share. The post is titled AITA for kicking out my mom's boyfriend. When I was 17, my mom came into money. She tried to keep it quiet, but she paid off my dad's debts, bought him a small house, paid off her debts, and paid for my sister's college while setting up funds for mine. She had a boyfriend at the time, and shortly after, he and his son, who was 7, moved into our new house. Over the next few years, my mom bought my sister a house after she graduated college. Her boyfriend lived with us and didn't pay anything, but he did work. When I was 21, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. It wasn't good. She sat me and my sister down and went over exactly how much money there was. She intended to give her current house to me, and both my sister and I were left with a large sum at the end of it. She asked if I would allow her boyfriend to stay in the house with his son until he got his own place. I agreed. Before she died, she told her boyfriend he would need to look for his own place but had time to save for that journey. For the last 4 years, he has continued to reside in the house with his son. I haven't minded because we get along okay. I pay all the bills, but he does buy food for himself and his kid. He has dated off and on and mostly kept the women out of this house, which I respected him for, until his current partner. She's been in my house 3 times, and at first, besides feeling a little uncomfortable, I was okay with her. The last time, this past weekend, was the point where I lost my temper. I was making myself some lunch when she came walking downstairs. She grabbed a plate and went to take food out of my pan. I asked her what she thought she was doing. She started telling me how I should look for somewhere else to live and said that leeching off my dead mom's past relationship as an adult was pathetic. I hollered for my mom's old boyfriend. He came down and I told him I didn't know what his current partner thought, but I wasn't going to be disrespected in my house. He wouldn't even look me in the eyes as he mumbled something about my mom promising him the house and that he was just being kind by letting me stay. First, that isn't remotely true. Mom pulled him and me together after she asked if he could stay to set expectations. My mom met him shortly before she won the money and told him, and us girls, that she had no intention of leaving him any money. She did set aside a fund for his son for college when he gets there, but he cannot touch it. Only his son can. He has lived in this house for almost 8 years without paying a dime. He should have plenty of money, and if he doesn't, that's on him. I told him he had 30 days to leave. I wasn't going to house someone who would lie and disrespect me in my home. He left that night with his son, but his ex-wife called to tell me I am cruel and an awful person for her son losing his house. I really feel like my mom didn't expect him to still be here, but my sister said she feels like I am breaking my promise to my mom, and that made me feel like maybe I am the awful person. User Good Advice Gay said, not the asshole. The critical part here is that your mom asked you to let him stay until he got his own place and to give him time to find one. During that time, instead of looking to move somewhere else, he continued to settle into life in the house, to the point where he even started bringing a new girlfriend along. He moved on, but didn't move out. Him lying to her and telling her this was his house tells you everything you need to know about his actual intentions to leave. You kicking him out wasn't abrupt. The clock had run out on your mother's kindness and your obligation to her a long time ago, and he was living there on generously borrowed time. User Curious Brad said, if it happened exactly how you said, you're not the asshole. If she did say he had time to save but would need to look for his own place, that means she never imagined or wanted him to stay for long, so you're breaking no promises. Did she leave him any money or assets? It's entirely possible that your mother would be livid if she knew her boyfriend was still living with her son after 4 years. To this, OP said, no, she created a fund for his son for college, but that was the only money set aside for him or his son. It's a generous amount, enough for 4 years at a high-cost school. Anything not used for school will be given to him on his 25th birthday, from what I believe she told me. She was never married to or even engaged to her boyfriend. He lived with his sister and was saving for his own house when my mom met him. His moving in with us was supposed to be temporary and allow him to save to buy his dream home, but he never left. My mom was like that though. She had a big heart, and sometimes people took advantage of that. She bought him a brand new truck when his car broke down, but beyond that and smaller gifts, she did not leave him any money. They had no joint accounts. My mom paid everything, and he was supposed to be saving for a house the whole time they were together. User Equal Statement said, not the asshole. If you weren't making an enormous meal, why would she even grab some? And it's still rude to do that without asking. He told his girlfriend it's his house. He complained or implied you were just living there and leeching off him. He lied to you when confronted. Just know. But do make sure you legally kick him out. In some states, it takes months and requires going to court. At the very least, a written notice and 30 days from that notice is the bare minimum. I don't know if he's the type to sue, but you can get in trouble for illegally evicting someone, and he's been there long enough that he would be a tenant and you the landlord. Update. I know the other subreddit is very subjective on updates, so I figured I would post it here. I do want to take a moment to address some things I saw in the comments. There are trusts set up and neither my sister nor I have full access to the money left to us. This was done both because my sister and I were in our early 20s when my mom died, and she wanted to make sure we had some stability before we had access and to protect us from people who might try to take advantage, especially while we were grieving. I have a lawyer. He has already informed me legally, according to my area, what eviction laws are, and my mom's former boyfriend will be served with formal eviction papers just to cover myself, even after today. So to the update. My dad came over this morning and brought along my cousin. For easier storytelling, I'm going to call mom's former boyfriend, CC, showed up about 10 a.m. my time and talked to my dad, then asked if he could have a couple of minutes alone with me. Dad nodded, so my cousin and him went into the kitchen and C and I sat in the living room. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to go as it did, but I am glad it did. C started with an apology. I don't remember all of the words said, but the basics were he missed my mom and he has been lonely but not alone thanks to me and his son. He was sorry for what had happened, that he got caught up in lust and let someone else fill his head with ideas, and that he owned up to his mistakes and should have never put up with someone who would disrespect me or my mom's memory. He tried to hand me a cashier's check for 15 grand. He said it wasn't much, but he wanted me to know he appreciated me and living with me, and that he wanted to pay back some of what he owed. I refused the check, partly because I never wanted his money, but I also don't want to give any possible legal leg for him to stand on if this is somehow him trying to stay. I told him the first part and told him to put it towards a house. He told me he is living with his sister, but is going to look at houses with a realtor next week. He did say his son is asking about our next hangout date and said both me and my sister are welcome to arrange time with him. After all of that, my dad and cousin helped him get all the stuff out of the house that he owned, and he gave me back my house keys. He apologized again and left. Not what I expected, but it went really well and I feel a lot less like I let my mom down. Update 2. This is probably going to be my last update unless something unexpected happens, but I thought I would just give a quick update on C. So C called me last week and again yesterday. He put an offer on a house and yesterday it got accepted. The expected closing date is early next month, but I am very proud of him. I know everyone expected more drama, but it's been really good. He thanked me a lot for letting him have so much time here and offered me some money one more time for his time here, which I again declined. However, I did offer to help him move in when the time comes. He put down almost half for a down payment, so he definitely was saving money during his time here, and I'm glad everything that happened encouraged him to get into a home of his own. I talked to his son yesterday after he got out of school. We are going to play laser tag this weekend with my sister, and he is excited for the new house too. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.